Hello, everybody, and happy St. Brigid's Day. My name is Madeleine Casey. I'm the Shorts Programme for IFL. It's been my great pleasure to curate a programme of female-led short films as part of our Brigid's Day Film Festival in partnership with the Irish Embassy's celebration of the talent and creativity of Irish women. We've had 2 screenings over the weekend so far as part of the festival. The UK premiere of Stacey Gregg's Here Before at the Kiln Cinema, and a rare screening of Pat Murphy's 1981 film Maeve, followed by a brilliant panel discussion. But we're here today at the launch of a month-long short film programme, which is now available globally on our Irish Film From Home platform. And we're here to speak to some of the filmmakers. All the short films are made by women directors, writers, producers. So we're going to just have a little look at a trailer for the film. All these films were seen at our Irish Film from London Festival back in November. And we're going to just have a look at the trailer for the film that won the Best Short Film. And that's Ascending Grace, directed by Claire Byrne and written by Karen Healy.
That's brilliant. That's cute. Why are you being such a dick? What is going on? No. Yes.
Lovely. And Ascending Grace will be part of the programme. But first, I'd just like to introduce our guests today, and who are all, their films are in our programme. So from Alfonso Film, Joe Halpin, the director of Magic. Hi, Joe. Pippa McCormick, the debut writer, director of Nails. Hi, Pippa. Iseult Howlett, the director and editor of The Grass Ceiling. And we have Jade Jordan, the writer, producer, and lead actor of The Colour Between. Hi, Jade. So, Joe, we're going to start with you. So, first of all, congratulations on Magic. It's a wonderful film. We loved it in our festival. It's from the all-female Alfonso Films. We've screened a few of Alfonso films in the past, including Pat, and Her Name Is. Yeah. Magic is such a funny film about the lengths a guy will go to make up with his girlfriend after a breakup. And when we showed it at the Irish Film Festival London, the audience really enjoyed it. There was lots of laughter in the cinema. So I wondered, is Magic a departure for Alfonso Films in terms of comedy, moving from comedy to drama?
Yeah,
from drama to comedy. Yeah.
I had such a great time at the festival as well. Always have. We come every year if we can. But this year I actually missed Magic because we had to run for a flight. So we had to run out of the screening and leg it. But it's fine. We made the flight and we caught a load of films. So it was great. Magic is, I suppose the three of us come together and we have kind of different tastes, which is really good for the company. But in terms of what I like to make, I'm really interested in comedy and comedy drama. So Magic was my first time directing. And because it was a comedy, it was probably best suited to me to do it, even though I was nervous to direct it. But that's why it does not even make sense. But comedy is my preferred genre, so that's why I took it on.
Lovely. Okay. And so have you seen it on the big screen? Have you seen it with an audience?
Yeah, I saw it in the Women in TV and Film the screening that they had just before Christmas. Yeah, and it was lovely to hear everybody laughing in the cinema. It was really great. Yeah.
Really nice. I was going to say that must be a relief, because when you're there on the film set and, you can all find it funny, but it's not necessarily going to be the way in front of an audience. But of course it was, and it was great. So we spoke to you and Claire and Emma around this time last year, I think for St. Brigid's, and for our podcast series. And the role you were doing then was mostly producing and writing. You've been director for Magic, and I just wondered, was that your first time directing, and how was that for you?
It was. I hope it doesn't show too much, but it was, yeah.
Not at all.
And it was really great. Like I had loads of plans for it, obviously, and then when we made it, I learned so much in the making of it. But at the end of the day, when we played it in the cinema, I was really proud that it got the laughs because that's what we were intending to do. And it was just a great script. And Ali is so funny, and she wrote the script and she starred in it. So there was so much energy from her that it made it so easy for me to do it. You know, it was a really, kind of gift as a first time director because the two of those people are just so funny and so brilliant at what they do. So it wasn't difficult,
Lovely.
Yeah.
And did so as you say, Ali Hardiman wrote the script. Did she come to you with the script, or was it something that you sort of commissioned from her? Or
yeah, she did. She called us because she wanted to make a piece that she could kind of say that was her brand of comedy, that's what she wanted to represent herself as, what she found funny. And she got in touch with us and was like, would you be interested in making it with us? And obviously because it was comedy, I was like, love to. And we just spoke for months and got to know each other really well. And turns out we had the same taste in things. We had the same sense of humor. We worked on the script loads. We read it loads. We had so much fun with it. And then we cast it. And yeah, it was just perfect. It worked out really well because she came with the idea of wanting to make something as a piece that she could give to, people going forward, to say this is the kind of style that I want to act in and be a part of. And I hopefully she got what she wanted. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, brilliant. It would be lovely to see some more of Lauren and Kieran.
They were
such great characters. Yeah.
Somebody came up to me at the TV screening afterwards and said, oh my God, you should make it into a TV series. I could just watch them do anything. I could just watch them do anything at all. Silly little tasks. So maybe that would be great. Ali got excited at that. So she might be writing a TV series as we speak.
Great. Okay, thank you. So Pippa, we'll move to you. Pippa McCormick. Nels is your first film, so congratulations on that, and your success at getting it into this festival, and so Nels is an LGBTQ themed film that vividly and neatly shows how meeting the right person doesn't always depend on sparks of attraction. There are other things that come into play. So I just wondered, how did the film come about? How did you come to make your first film?
It was really me trying to get into the film and TV industry. It's something that I wanted for a really long time, and I used the pandemic to sort of actually take that leap. I've had loads of stories bottled up from things that have happened with my family, life experiences, and I really used the pandemic to sort of learn how to do some screenwriting and basically.
So you didn't study film at?
No, I studied modern languages at university, so it was a big leap, but I felt I had some things to say, and also some experiences that I didn't feel like had been accurately represented in a lot of the LGBTQ things that I've seen on screen. So I guess there was some awkward moments from my life that I wished I had seen, I guess, played out on screen that would have made me feel a little bit better about the mistakes that I've made coming out and being part of the queer community. So.
Fantastic. So that was your inspiration. So what would you say were the main challenges you faced then as a first time filmmaker? Like, where did you start?
Yeah, it was a big question. So I had both of my parents are Irish, and I've been writing down stories that I've had through kind of culture clash growing up as sort of like a British child in a very like Irish microcosm. And so I sort of smashed together two stories from my life into 2.5 minutes because I thought it would be quite funny. And I guess the biggest thing that was an issue was that the day that we shot it was the first day I'd ever been on a working film set. My producer, who really held my hand through the entire process, who was amazing, his name's Patrick Tolan. He helped me so much and he really guided me. But I think it was a great experience because even a couple of the actors, they'd done some more stage work. And so we're all kind of discovering together what it was like to, recreate the scene over and over again and all the different shots that we would need. So, I mean, every step was a huge learning curve.
Brilliant. So how do you plan to build on that success now? Have you, are you working on something new?
Yeah,
What would you say was the main thing you learned from the whole process that you're going to take on now, maybe into your next film?
I mean, first and foremost, I'm really glad that I did it. Ignorance is bliss, because since that point, I've managed to get consistent work in the industry. And I don't think that if I had been working in it, that I would have had the courage to do it. So I'm glad that it's done.
Yeah.
But I also have made some great contacts. And the producer that I worked with previously is, we're working on a couple of new projects that we're hopefully going to bring to life over the next couple of months. But yeah, I guess be daring. I felt like I was being quite vulnerable in the content that I put on there. But I think I can definitely be a little bit more shocking. So every day that I go to work, I'm learning more about the practicalities of filmmaking. So yeah, I guess just step by step, bringing things forward, and hopefully putting my trust in people and people putting their trust in me. So I can't wait to see the other ladies' films. I haven't had the chance yet, and talk to you guys as well about your filmmaking experiences.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, good luck with all of that, because it was a great start. Nails. Iseult is coming to you. So Iseult Howlett, The Glass Ceiling. It's a wonderful short documentary that viscerally shows how much women and girls can gain in so many ways from playing team sports at every level. You directed and edited the film. I suppose, why did you want to tell this story?
Yeah, well, I was really interested in trying to find a way of getting the idea of the kind of magic of what happens when you play sport, and how it can be kind of almost transgressive, compared to how a lot of the messaging that girls and women get about how to be in the world. And I read an essay by a talented writer called Yuma Ryan, and she's also a camogie player. And her essay is called The Fear of Winning, and I just really, really loved it and connected to it. So I contacted her, and we got to myself and her got on well, and she was happy to go ahead and let me try and take it as a kind of a bounce point to adapt it for screen.
Yeah. Are you a sportswoman yourself? Is it
no, I climbed trees instead of doing team sport when I was little. I didn't do any team sport. Really, I avoided it at school. But
yeah.
And then when I was in my 30s, I started to play soccer, just for fun with other women, and loved it. I was doing indoor climbing as well, which it was kind of like an epiphany, I'm happiest when I'm in my body. And I think it's a pretty universal sort of experience for humans, but we often don't tune into it. So I wanted to make something that was joyful and not didactic. So I think sometimes when I talk about it, I make it sound really dry, but I hope that wasn't the experience for people watching the film.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, it was really inspiring, and I think, I don't know, we're all, you guys are all young women here. My experience of teaching young women is that they really get put off team sports, particularly in their teenage years, and sports in general. And I think this film is really kind of inspirational in that sense, for young people to see, especially. So you've it's your directing debut. You're an award-winning editor of documentaries and short films over the past 20 years. So what made you want to direct?
Yeah, well, I always knew I'd quite like to direct something, but I didn't want to. I was kind of waiting to do it when there was something I really felt in love with the idea of, and something that really mattered to me. I'm a mom of 2 daughters, and so for seeing I don't even know actually if I think it does affect how I see how how we are meant to be as girls and women. But I think even if I wasn't a mum, I think I would still want to tell that story. So yeah, a very inelegant way of saying I just thought it just grabbed me when I read Emer's essay. I thought this is the thing I want to put on screen and make filmic, because I've edited an awful lot of television and I wanted to make something that felt cinematic, that wasn't like a journalistic piece. And I thought that Emer's essay was a kind of a lovely way in of merging a sort of a poetic look at something. Yeah.
So, and you enjoyed the process of directing?
I loved it. Yeah, and I had a really fab producer, Frankie Fenton, and he was really supportive with Kennedy Films. And I had an amazing DOP, Eleanor Bowman, who actually, I think was the DOP on, she was the DOP on Ascending Grace, which won the short film award in your festival. So yeah, I had a brilliant team around me.
Yeah, because I guess that's it. I mean, I suppose editing, I mean, obviously you're part of the wider team, but it's quite a solo job, isn't it? Maybe you and the director, but directing.
Yeah, I love standing up, going to work and standing up and talking to more than one person. It was no, I loved it. It was really great.
Great. I just wondered if because it's already been selected for lots of festivals and won awards, and I just wondered, is it what plans might there be for it now? Like for the first time I saw it, I thought this film should be seen in every school, like every school kid should see this film. I just wondered, are there any plans for it to go further?
Thanks, Madeleine. Yeah, there are. Frankie Fenton is cooking up a plan. We're hoping to make your wish come true. So we'll see. I'll let you know.
We've got a trailer for Grass Ceiling, so we'd just love to show a little bit now.
Okay.
I think it's probably the closest thing to flying you'll ever feel like. Team sport does something to a girl. You get to think about your body in terms of what it can do, rather than how it looks. You become more engine than ornament. Yes! This is what freedom can feel like.
Brilliant. It's a great film. It's great to have it as part of this selection. So Jade Jordan, will come to you now. And Jade, of course, was the winner of our Sulella Award at Irish Film Festival London 2021, back in November. And she won for her outstanding contribution to the festival. Jade not only wrote and produced and starred in The Colour Between, but she also appeared in 2 other films, which is Ascending Grace as the flight attendant, very funny, and that was by Claire Byrne and Karen Healy, and Foxglove by Michael David McKernan. So The Colour Between, directed by Dave Tynan. It's a domestic drama about a seemingly loving, happy interracial couple who are raising their infant son when the sudden death of the husband's mother brings horrible racist attitudes within the wider family to the surface that your character, Annalise, she's left to deal with. So I just wondered, how did the film come about? Is it a story you've wanted to tell for a while?
Yeah, very much like Pippa, and I kind of didn't know what else to do like everybody else. And as an actor, I always kind of wanted to write, but didn't know how to go about it. But I kind of just took pen to paper, and I was looking into my family story at the time. So it's based actually on real life events that happened within my family. So I wanted to tell that story. It was a story that I knew growing up, an incident that had happened that really affected me. But I always wanted to tell it. So I suppose I just used that time to develop it and fictionalize it a little bit so it wasn't so personal to my family, I guess, because you want to protect people when you're talking about personal things, you know. But yeah, I always wanted to tell it. I mean, first piece of writing and my first short film to produce as well. It's super scary, so you don't know how these are kind of going to go down. And you know, it's so personal as well. It was kind of raw putting it out. And it was so amazing to see it with you guys last year because it was actually the first time I saw it on the big screen.
Wow.
I was just so used to seeing it on a laptop. So yeah, it was. It's still quite mad to think that you've done your own thing. You know, it was something I've always dreamt of, but kind of didn't know how to do it, to be honest.
And what has the response been? What kind of feedback have you had on the film? I mean, I know what we said about it.
It's been phenomenal. I think, yeah, it's been phenomenal. I guess that's why we all make art. Like the women in this room now, you know, it's a conversation, and it's for questioning things.
Yeah.
And you know, that was a scenario that happened in the 80s in Dublin. And I wanted to bring it to modern life because, I mean, discrimination is still a thing. Racism is still a thing. So I think I'd done my job in the sense that it started a conversation. So,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
amazing. That's why we do what we do, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking about the film, that, you know, Ireland has been a much more diverse society, you know, it's become so over the past 30 years. And I'm kind of surprised there aren't more films in a way that that tackle rate and challenge racism, you know, as it exists in Irish society today. So, you know, I think your film obviously does go, you know, towards addressing that.
It's kind of given a lot. Sorry, my line is really bad. Apologies. I think it's given a lot of, I should say, black and brown mind. Think about also something that a lot of people don't want to speak. So it encourages them to tell their story as well.
Yeah,
important in Ireland to be telling these stories, you know.
Yeah. And you know, like some of the other films that we've seen today, that we're talking about, it was completed last April. So, and it uses several, so that would have been during, you know, lockdown restrictions, and your film uses several locations. There's house, there's the street, there's the park. I just wondered how difficult it was to film during the restrictions that and the uncertainties. Did you have to, was it stop-start or?
Oh, it was a nightmare. So we started in October 2020. And then we went in full lockdown on the first day, and we couldn't start back till December. But obviously there's a little baby, and I was just really conscious that this child is going to grow really quickly. So as soon as the lockdown lifted in December, we just went in. But yeah, it was trying to produce and act and think of all those things was quite stressful anyway. I mean, I never underestimated producers, but they're amazing. There's so much to think about. But yeah, it was tricky. I thought he would be an adult by the time I had to shoot it, to be honest.
I have to say that the toddler is adorable. You know, the baby. I mean, how old was he? And how did you cast him?
He was. This is a funny story. So like I have cousins, but they're all a little older, so I couldn't knew any of them. So I knocked on a neighbor's door, and I was just like, "Yeah, can I rob your son for my short film?" And he was one.
Oh, bless.
So,
yeah.
But he was amazing. He was amazing.
Notice any, sorry, I didn't notice any change in
Sorry, go on.
In his growth. Yeah. Go on, just to tell us a little bit about working with them, because some people say don't work with children and animals. So
yeah, I don't. With you, I love working with children. Personally, you learn so much from children. Like, I mean, it's all in our heads, kids, they're just free birds. I learned a lot from him, a lot. But it was really tricky because you can't get him to do the same thing. So we just had to roll the camera and just hope he gave us what we wanted. And my God, did he? He went above and beyond and hit all the right moments. I was just like, hey, who is this child star?
yeah, he was great.
Really best. Yeah.
So just a couple of questions, just generally, and feel free if you want to jump in on this. We're seeing more and more films by women, but out there, and it's fantastic to see the kind of successes that they're having. So I'm just wondering, do you still think there are major challenges that women face in the industry to get their films made, get their voices heard? Maybe Iseult, what do you think about that?
I think that it's really brilliant that we're getting so many diverse female stories and female experiences on screen now. It's totally shifted. The landscape has shifted in the last few years, and it's just really exciting that we are in a little way part of that swell. So of course there's challenges there. There are things being done to try and balance it out. I know that's a big debate about quotas and stuff. I think that I think a lot of good has come from a concerted industry effort to include more diversity, and obviously there's a lot more to be done in terms of it's not just women that need to be included. There's diversity across the board. So it's important that we all just stay tuned in to the lacks and try and fill the gaps, in an authentic way.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else would like to respond to that. Joe, maybe.
Oh my goodness, I lost you there. Sorry. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think it's great. And I think that maybe with the move towards women kind of having more of a say, more women have come forward, and there's more content and there's more stuff to say. And women have, I don't know, I'm kind of gibberish as well, but it feels good to be a part of this time. And I don't know what kind of position I would be in if it was another time. So I'm very aware of that it wasn't always this easy. And that I'm so glad that I get a chance to be a part of filmmaking, in the way that I am, because I know if it was, 20, 30, 50 years ago, what would I wouldn't have these opportunities. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm sure everybody else feels the same. And to the women that came before us as well, who were filmmakers when it wasn't so easy and there wasn't opportunities directed towards women making films and telling stories. So it's a great time to be alive and be a filmmaker. And I'm thankful for all the opportunities that people are putting in, even if it felt like quotas at the time, it's really raised everybody at the bar. And the same for diversity. It'd be great when it keeps being raised and things keep being set so that more people come and tell their stories. And, like you were saying before, Pippa, being a first-time filmmaker, do you know what I mean? And feeling like you can, and you have the confidence and you have the backing to do it, people behind you. So does that even make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
After watching the trailer for The Grass Ceiling, I thought it was a really interesting way that you kind of put it, because I was a really, really big hockey player. Most of my life I played competitively until I left university. And it had never really occurred to me until I just heard that sort of tagline that your body can be seen for like what it can do rather than how it looks. And I think, like, I've lived my entire life in this one lane. you know, like more like a bull in a china shop, like demanding and kind of expecting these things that I have kind of naturally in my mind. And as a debut filmmaker, like I haven't yet hit any resistance or any glass ceiling rather than grass ceiling yet. But I'm definitely going to continue with that mindset. I'm not begging, and I'm not coming, you know, on my hands and knees, please give me some money. Like, I've got things to say. Like, come on. When being raised in this like generation of really like powerful women, it hasn't really occurred to me yet that this is something that we're going to come across, because I guess, again, social media is an echo chamber, and all I see are incredibly impressive women with lots of great ideas and things to say. So it's like, for me, let's just keep going. I haven't really hit any obstacles yet, but we're going to punch through the walls anyway. So
it's great that we've got people coming up who feel entitled. It's
yeah, totally.
We're all entitled to tell our stories, so go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we showed Pat Murphy's 1981 film Maeve yesterday, and you know, it's known as kind of the first Irish feminist film, and I think it was well received when it first came out, but then it's just been buried, really, you know, for decades. And in an audience of something like 75 people yesterday, there were 3 people who had seen it, and it just seemed, you know, a crime almost, you know. So it seems like you feel more hopeful now for women in the industry. Jade, what would you say to that? Jade, would you say it's a more hopeful
what
time?
ladies just said? I think women are finally finding their voices. Just great to be a part of this shift. I mean, like what Joe said, going back 20, 30 years, I mean, we weren't as brave as we are now. So yeah, it's great to be a part of this movement. And yeah, would I call it a movement? I suppose movement or shift. And hopefully women look at the likes of us ladies in this room and ladies elsewhere making great work, and yeah, be brave enough to tell their story. Hard work always leads to good work, I believe. So as hard as it is to get the ball rolling, yeah, good work is tough. So keep going.
Do you think there's an expectation on women filmmakers to tell women's stories, or you know, we see, you know, lots more and more genre films coming out now, you know, by women that are having success. But do you feel a pressure to tell women's stories, or do you want to tackle anything? And
I feel like there's we probably are all a bit
personally, I just think
Iseult and then Jade.
Okay, sorry, Jade. Yeah, I think that we all have a hunger and a thirst for seeing things that we recognize more, and so I don't know if it would feel like an why ought to be doing this, but I think not just naturally there's going to be our own unique perspective on any work that we make. So it's a sort of a natural inclination. I just saw Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut, The Lost Daughter, the other day. Like, it's incredible, but it felt like a totally unique vision of the trickier parts of parenting and adulting and stuff. So, you know, there's really exciting things that are happening out there. So, I think we are getting to enjoy such a broadening out of what we see as women's stories, you know. And I think there's room for countless more. I think particularly if you look at like LGBTQ stories, I know you were talking about when you're doing Nails that you were trying to represent a story that you hadn't seen before, and you can see that, you know, that there's the sort of the tropes, like with any women's stories or gay stories, and there's tropes, and then once you'd like to think that we get beyond the kind of, well, this is the story of my struggle and my coming out, or my, as a woman breaking boundaries or whatever, and that we get into the complexities of interesting stories that have a kind of a richness and a layering to them, and that are human stories. I don't think that makes any sense, maybe.
No, it totally makes sense. I think that was definitely one thing that when I started with Nails, I'm just sick to death of watching these kind of soft tearjerker coming out stories, and like it doesn't portray the richness and intelligence of queer life and queer community as we see it. And certainly I live a queer life within what is quite a heteronormative world, and that those two things intersect and that they can join, and it doesn't have to be one or t'other, but that there is nuance and layering and comedy, within that's not like, oh, it's me, I'm gay, and it's definitely like moving towards, like you said, that layering for me is like really, really important, and women's stories in particular as well, that you could create a genre film, Madeleine, like you were saying, and that just viewing it from a women's perspective, that we all know when a woman has made something, we feel that wink, wink, we feel that nudge, we feel that eye shift, and so when you say there's so much more room, like there is so much more room, and it doesn't have to be, taking something like Ghostbusters, I find it frustrating. Oh, look, this old thing, but all women now, and it's like, I don't think that's what we wanted. It's not what we were calling for. It's going somewhere in the right direction, but we're missing the realness, like the richness of all the things that having writers, directors, producers, everything in between can bring to the process.
Yeah, exactly, Jen.
I was thinking there when we first started making
Alfonso.
Oh, sorry. Did I go over someone?
Go on, Joe.
We first started making films as Alfonso, and we had this one film, and it was a man's story, and it was always written that way. And then somebody kind of said, "Can the character be a woman?" And the writer was like, "Oh, I don't think so." And I remember that moment really well, because I remember it was like, even we can't see it as a woman's story. And then the character did become a woman. And now it's impossible to see the character not. But it was a real challenge, even for ourselves, to be like, why can't you give that emotion to a woman? Because I haven't seen it before, because I don't know how to tell that story, because I'm so used to the way it's being told. So when we challenged ourselves to do it, then it was kind of like, it blew the doors wide open, because it was like, oh my God, it doesn't have to be anyone. It can be anyone. It doesn't have to be anyone specific. Like you said, Pippa, like stories are just people living. They're not like plotting people into positions because that's where they belong, because people pop up out of everywhere, and you can't kind of make the story narrow. You have to go, oh, maybe it isn't, and look around the world, and it actually is becoming more, for me anyway, what I see in the world is on screen. And maybe that's because more women are telling stories as well, and joining together. I don't know if that made no sense at the end.
No, it did. Jade, you were going to say something.
Pretty much what everybody's just said. I think women are just being so much more bolder and braver. I think for years women kind of suppressed a lot of feelings. Women can't say this, women can't do that, women can't use those words. It's kind of 2 years. I find I'm getting so much more in touch with the woman and being so much braver and being able to speak about my body. Just things that we felt like we couldn't speak about for years. So that's all I was going to say, is women are just finding this voice, and being bold and words. Men have always been able to do that, to maybe do that too. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I just finally, just about we're really looking forward to hearing from you again, and what's coming up in the near future. So just wondering, would anyone like to share what they're working on now, or anything we can see soon?
Well, I just want to say I've seen everyone's films and I absolutely loved the three of them so much. Like, Jesus, beautiful films. And I remember actually, as you were both talking, I just remember that seeing them, all three of them. I remember the feeling I had. So well done. Incredible work. Coming up for us, we have a feature film in the pipeline with Alfonso, which is really exciting. And that's my producer hat. And then I'm directing another comedy short. So that's really exciting to keep my comedy business going. So yeah, there's loads coming from us. And hopefully we'll be able to screen again at the festival. Thanks for having us so much.
Brilliant.
I have a few ideas for personal projects that I need to get moving on. I've been really incredibly busy, very gratefully, for the last year and a half editing. So I haven't had a chance to kind of give myself the space to get my teeth into those and keep going directing.
I'm behind on a couple of first draft deadlines, so but I can't speak too much about them yet. But I'm trying to stretch my wings. I kind of feel like I'm a comedy slanted creator, but I'm trying to move into genre. So working on an erotic thriller at the moment. So we'll see what happens with that one.
Watch this space.
Women slanted. It was like Jade was saying. I think that there are some things that we haven't heard women say or do or things like that. So getting down to the nitty gritty and hopefully quite shocking. So we'll see. We'll see what comes up.
And Jade, would you like to be making more films yourself? Do you feel like that's your direction, or will you keep up with your acting and wear lots of hats?
Yeah, I tried to keep my thing really. I'm just finally found my mojo to go back writing. It was really a struggle for me at the beginning of the year. I just have to wait for it. So I have a few things in my head, a few projects that I can't really say too much about. But yeah, good. It's nice to be busy. I'm back writing. So let's see what happens.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today, and thanks so much for your films. We're delighted with this selection of 6 short films, including Ascending Grace and a wonderful animation called Her Song from Eva Bortolozzi. So looking forward to everyone, and they are, as I was saying, available from today. So just finally, I'd like to remind everyone that this special selection of short films is going out from today, available for the whole month of February on Irish Film From Home, which you can find a link to on our webpage. Where if you'd like to become a friend or champion of IFL, you can watch the films for free. Otherwise, the cost is a mere £5, and it's a great way to support us. You can also gift the films to friends or family. We are back in the Kiln Cinema on the 15th of February at 7 o'clock with a screening of Love Yourself Today by director Ross Killeen. It's a music documentary about singer-songwriter Damien Dempsey and the emotive and healing powers of music. And both Damien and Ross will be joining us on the stage after the film for a Q&A. So do come along to that special event. But thank you to everyone today, and goodbye.
Thank you, Madeleine.
Thanks, Madeleine.